looks ready now.
Okay.
Now we can do the video first.
Yes, we'll start with the video to explain the COVID-19.
Mhm.
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted as a Zoom meeting pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being live streamed on the CCTA website. The chair will call upon members, staff, and other speakers by name. Please speak clearly and state your name before giving comments or remarks. Persons participating via Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members participating by Zoom wishing to speak should physically raise their hand and unmute their mic when called upon. Members should remute their mics when done speaking. Citizens participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature or dial *9 if participating via phone, and the chair or staff will call upon them at the appropriate time. Citizens will have 3 minutes to speak. A 30-second warning will be provided. After 3 minutes, staff will lower their hand and mute their mic. Participants via phone will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their names and organization, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received in accordance with the COVID-19 Special Notice for Public Comment Guidelines are printed on the meeting agenda. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they should raise their hand and the chair will call upon them at the appropriate time. All written correspondence received after that and during the meeting will be entered into the record. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. Thank you for participating in a meeting of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority.
Welcome, everyone. And Jackie, would you please take the roll call now?
Yes. Okay, Committee Member Allman. Committee Member Dugan.
Present.
Committee Member Foster.
Here.
Committee Member German.
Here.
Committee Member Kashin. Committee Member Kashin. Committee Member Olson.
Present.
Committee Member Riley. Committee Member Reinders.
Here.
Vice Chair Pinkham.
I'm here.
Alternate Committee Member Fahey.
I'm here. Jerry Fay.
Thank you. Okay, so we have Committee Member Allman absent, Committee Member Kashin absent, Committee Member Riley absent, and Chair Sarmiento's absent, but his alternate Committee Member Fahey is here.
Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Next item is public comment. Jackie, have we received any public comment?
No, we have not received any public comment.
I would like to make a public comment as a member of the public, not as a member of this committee. May I do that, please?
Yes.
Yes, Pinkham, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Bruce Olson, resident of Pittsburgh, regular bicyclist in the Concord area. Airport Self-Storage is building a self-storage place on the corner of Solano Way and Marsh Drive. The City of Concord bicycle plan calls Marsh Drive a Class 3 bicycle route, which means bicyclists are invited to jump in front of cars and be run over. The Countywide bicycle plan, which is adopted more recently than the City of Concord bicycle plan, calls for a Class 1 facility, that is a bike path, to be on or parallel to Marsh Drive. Somebody's going to have to figure out which of these plans takes precedent, because Airport Self-Storage wants to start building its self-storage, and the south side of the street is built out. The north side of the street is yet to be built out, and we currently do not have space in the street to include this Class 1 facility yet. So which plan is going to be in charge or take precedent? And perhaps this organization, being a region-wide organization, could start the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bruce. I think that's an item that we can take up either another time or when we begin to discuss particulars of the plan. Our next item is the election of chair and vice chair. Are there nominations for either of these positions? I'll speak at once. Well, I did volunteer like a fool to be vice chair again, but I would nominate Robert Sarmiento because he isn't here, and you know I'd be stuck with it. But how about other people? How about who would like to? Anybody else?
Volunteer Chair Pinkham. How many of us are missing today?
Jackie, how many are missing?
There are 4 actual members missing.
Okay, but we technically have a quorum and can make that decision today?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, do I hear?
Robert was the chair last time, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
It's kind of nasty to, I suppose, to nominate him when he's not here, but I don't know. I really don't know what his intentions are. Do you have any idea, Jackie, whether he was?
This is Jerry. I spoke to Robert. He'd be happy to serve as chair again. I guess in the times I'm with these organizations, I'm an alternate now, but typically the chair rotates out and the vice chair becomes chair, and then you backfill that vice chair position as another alternative. I don't know. But yeah, Robert said he'd be willing to chair this if you want to go that route.
I do not, but I'd be happy to serve as vice chair again. So any other nominations?
If I may speak, traditionally, this organization has had a professional planner or some other kind of paid staff to be the chair, and traditionally has had a volunteer advocate to be the vice chair. That's not written down, so we don't have to follow it, but that's what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm. Are you suggesting that we'll try and pick up or try and choose someone who is not connected with the... Well, hearing no other suggestions for nominations, we need to, do I have a motion to select elect the 2 nominations we have? Is there...
Chair Pinkham, what are the 2 nominations? I'm sorry.
The nominations are for vice chair and chair.
And who's being nominated?
I'm volunteering to be vice chair, and Robert is nominating, has expressed his desire to be chair again.
I can make a motion.
I've had no other suggestions.
I'll motion that Robert Sarmiento continue as chair and Bill Pinkham continue as vice chair.
And I second. This is Sean Dugan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, now I just have to do a roll call on this one. Committee member Allman. Committee member Dugan.
Aye.
Committee member Foster.
Aye.
Committee member Germain. Committee member German.
Might be through.
Committee Member Kashin? Committee Member Olson?
Yes.
Committee Member Riley? Committee Member Reinders?
Yes. Aye.
Vice Chair Pinkham?
Should probably abstain, but yes.
Alternate Committee Member Fahey?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously with Committee Member Germain abstaining.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Okay.
What is the motion?
All right. Thank you.
Okay, that's settled. Now,
David, the motion was for chair and vice chair and to continue the way that it has been.
Oh, I would support that. Thank you, Adam.
okay.
I seem to be having a connection problem here.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. What?
I seem to be having a connection problem here.
Mhm. Okay, well, our next item is, any public comment about that? I don't think so. Anything, Jackie? No, I doubt it. Does any member of the public want to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? No. Hearing none. Let's see. Okay. Now we go to item 4, which is the approval of the summary of actions that we took on May 18th, 2020. A long time, and people may not remember. That's information is on CCTA's site. I won't go into it, but let's see, does that take a motion, Jackie? I don't know.
Correct.
Thought so. Do I have a motion to approve the summary of actions from May 20th?
I move approval.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call now. Committee Member Allman? Committee Member Dugan?
Approved.
Committee Member Foster?
Aye.
Committee Member German?
Aye.
Committee Member Kashin? Committee Member Olson?
Yes.
Committee Member Riley? Committee Member Reinders?
Aye.
Vice Chair Pinkham?
Aye.
Alternate Committee Member Fahey?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, well, our next item is presentation on the countywide electric bicycle rebate pilot program. And it's going to be presented by Kirsten Riker.
Good morning. I'd like to share my screen here. Okay, I think you can see my screen, yes? Great. Okay, again, my name is Kirsten Riker, 511 Contra Costa, and we launched an e-bike rebate program on October 1st. This program is designed to get people who don't typically ride bikes out of their cars and onto fun, easy to use e-bikes at a more affordable price. The program is giving us a way to reach a wider non-biking audience. We're promoting it as a COVID-safe transportation alternative to driving alone. We're issuing post-purchase rebates of $150 and low-income rebates of $300. To reflect the Bay Area's high cost of living, our low-income qualification is set at 400% of the U.S. poverty guideline, as you can see here on the screen. We're giving rebates out for class 1, 2, and 3 e-bikes that cost less than $5,000. We're also offering rebates for 100% electric mopeds with a maximum speed of less than 30 miles per hour. And rebates are available for new e-bike conversion kits that transform used traditional bikes into pedal assist bikes. The kits must be professionally installed. Our program leaves style choices and purchase decisions to the user. So while we recommend that people purchase bikes from local bike shops, rebates are available for online orders or from places like Costco and Walmart. Our rules state that bikes must have pedals, and kids' bikes and e-scooters do not qualify. To make sure that residents from all parts of the county have access to participation, rebate funding was divided first by subregion, according to the guidelines outlined in Measure J, Line 17 Expenditure Plan. Then 50% of each subregion's funds were reserved for low-income residents, and the remaining 50% of funds were allocated to residents of each city according to population. What you're seeing here is the original number of rebates available per jurisdiction. The program started, as I said, October 1st, and rebates are being approved on a first-come, first-served basis. As of this morning, about 95 rebates have been approved so far. A running total of available rebates by city is updated daily on our website. You're looking here at a screenshot from our website, which was taken on Friday. So this shows how many rebates are currently available. Now I've compiled a few data points that we've gathered so far, and I'll just run through a few of those. This is the total number of rebates approved by jurisdiction as of Friday. We've had a few more over the weekend that aren't included, but there's definitely a steady tick of applications each day, which is great. There are plenty of rebates left, though, in nearly every area, and we'd like to ask for your help in spreading the word about the program, particularly in the cities where we have not seen a whole lot of participation yet. So you can see here, lots of the cities still have most of their rebates available. There's plenty of low-income rebates available as well in all regions, and additional outreach is being developed to get the word out to those low-income residents. But again, if you have channels for outreach that you use regularly, we'd love your help to spread the word. This is a breakdown of age of the applications so far, and the majority of applications are middle-aged, but we do have plenty of older adults applying as well, which is great. The cost of e-bikes range, but we're seeing lots of applications for low-priced models. We asked people in the application how often they expect to use their bikes, but more accurate data will be collected 2 months and 12 months after rebates are mailed. We hope to gather accurate mileage from odometer readings. We're curious about what types of trips e-bikes will be used for. And again, we'll be able to compare expectations with actual data through our post-rebate surveys. We're super excited about the program, and we hope you'll help us promote it in any way you can. So that's it for my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Just a thank you.
Great. Bill, Vice Chair Pinkman, did you have a question? I believe you're on mute.
Yes. You describe the different classes of electric bikes. I'm not familiar with the 1, 2, 3.
Let me go back to screen share. I have a slide that has some facts on there. If you can see this. So class 3 e-bike those are the fastest ones. They go up to 28 miles per hour. They're not allowed on the regional trails, like the Canal Trail or the Iron Horse Trail, et cetera. The 100% electric mopeds are basically class 3 e-bikes. So those are great if you're going longer distances and you feel comfortable sharing the road with vehicles. It's a nice option. Class 1 and 2 bikes are allowed on our regional trails. There was a pilot testing whether they should be allowed. I guess that was about a year ago, and the pilot was successful, and now those bikes are allowed on the regional trails. So if you use the regional trails, I'm sure you've seen e-bikes. We're starting to see a lot of them out there.
Are there any other questions for Kirsten?
And if you haven't tried one, I recommend it. They're a lot of fun. I know I'm speaking to the choir about bike riding, but these things are really great. And for me, there's, I hate to admit it, but there's no going back to a regular bike. It's just too fun and too easy.
They're a lot of fun. Oh, I'll mention just in parentheses that City of Richmond is going to have a e-bike share program, and took a ride from the city with some city people on Clean Air Day, and the woman in charge today said, yes, the bikes are, this is in October, the bikes are on the ships and we'll be starting it in November. And I looked a little askance at that, and yes, in fact, the system may be in place in the spring. Not holding my breath, so one of these days they will be. Let's see. Okay. And now,
Chair Pinkham, can I make just a quick comment?
oh, absolutely.
This is Sean Dugan. I just wanted to clarify that we, the Park District, did a pilot study. You are correct, Kirsten, and thank you for your presentation, by the way. I will say to the group, the San Francisco Bay Trail is still, that was not included in the pilot. That was not included in at least the Park District's rules to allow e-bikes. So I just wanted to make that clarification that there were too many differing ordinances within the jurisdictions that the Bay Trail goes through, and there's several. So in each jurisdiction, there's a different management scheme as well. So there's still a little work to be done there, but I just wanted to make that clarification. Thank you.
No, that's a very good point, and we've had that problem in Richmond. There's a very popular stretch of the Bay Trail, roughly from Albany all the way out to the Craneway Building in Richmond, and it's tough enough at this point with recreational riders, you know, a carbon fiber bike or something, and they're zipping along at 15 plus, and you have people walking. So I think the future of electric bikes on the trail is, I don't know. I don't think people are going to go for it, but anyway, but you can check that out, of course.
Yeah, again, I'll just respond to that. I think that I think it's possible, but I think that there will need to be some design changes here and there to help with that. But yeah, I think we can do it.
There's going to be need for any enforcement, speed limit, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I didn't know if that was a question, Bill. Sorry, you broke up, but
oh, sorry.
Yes, you're right. Management and design changes, maybe all of the above. But it's I just think that we have to admit that it's kind of, there isn't much we can do to keep them off there either way. So so we'll just have to roll with it, so to speak.
Okay. Well, the next thing up is an update about the Countywide Vision Zero framework. I know several of us have been on that committee, and we're going to have a presentation by Colin Clark. I happen to have seen the presentation at the county PAC meeting, and it's very good. So I think you'll like this one. Colin?
Very good. Thank you very much. So the Vision Zero framework is the countywide approach that was coming out of the Bike and Ped plan from 2018. And today I'd like to give a summary of the framework project and give a summary of the collision patterns, but also talk about the how-to guide, because we are this week and through Monday requesting your feedback on the draft how-to guide for jurisdictions and gathering feedback on next steps. So to back up for a second in terms of what Vision Zero is, the idea is Vision Zero is for 0 fatalities and 0 severe injuries. And the safe system approach that was recommended out of the Countywide Bicycle and Pedestrian plan is this safe system approach that assumes that human error is inevitable to some extent, and so that we can design for that inevitability and share some responsibility in terms of having not just the road users, but also the people who plan, design, and construct the facilities to be a part of the solution. Speeding is one of the major factors in terms of the Vision Zero, in terms of death and severity of injuries. And so in terms of the design, the idea is to reduce the system kinetic energy so that injuries are less severe. So moving forward in terms of the next steps, Vision Zero as a standard practice for each of the 19 jurisdictions and the county unincorporated communities is something that was again recommended out of the Bike and Ped plan. And so our team with CCTA and Fair and Peers have collected and analyzed traffic safety data from 2008 until 2017. So about 10 years of data to begin to identify countywide common collisions patterns. And so one of the ongoing conversations is in terms of roles that we play in terms of CCTA at the countywide level, local jurisdictions at a more specific detail and action oriented level, and then MTC, which in June the Metropolitan Transportation Commission did adopt a regional Vision Zero safety policy that is going to influence projects and grant applications moving forward. And so safety and Vision Zero are more increasingly becoming something that needs to be prioritized, and I'll show more data as to why that is. In terms of CCTA's role, safety is one of those things similar to sustainability where it's a multidisciplinary issue, and we all have a role to play as it relates to safety. And so CCTA is taking the approach of helping to build the Vision Zero database. MTC also just is now working to award a $500,000 contract with a company called My Sidewalk to have a regional database that we at CCTA and the local jurisdictions would have access to help leverage that data to inform our decision making as it relates to safety. And so another part of this Vision Zero framework effort is looking at the common countywide collision patterns to identify common safety priority locations in terms of the data. But the hope with CCTA is that we can push to be innovative as well and we're going to look at the data and make sure that we're investing in areas that predominantly have had issues with safety, but looking forward, the desire is to work with new emerging technologies and data to help better inform decisions as close to real time as is possible. So for example, the ADS grant, the Automated Driving System grant, we're collaborating internally with CCTA to see what sort of data comes out of that project to help empower local public works to be able to go out and investigate areas that need investigation as it relates to safety in terms of connected vehicles data that comes out of skidding, hard braking events, and near misses or close calls. Let's see, what else? Analyzing collision, I mentioned that, and prioritizing funding, which is what we're hearing from a lot of the RTPCs. So over the last month, we've gone to each of the 4 sub-regions as it relates to regional transportation committees and gotten a lot of really good feedback. And over the last year, it did include the best practices review, the local plans that already exist throughout the county, and mapping these safety priority locations. And so there's a Vision Zero working group that was mentioned by the vice chair. And in terms of in progress over the next week and day, first day of next week, is gathering your input on the how-to policy and implementation guide for jurisdictions. And then going to the RTCB boards in the January-February timeframe, and then hopefully to the planning committee and the full CCTA board in the March-April-ish timeframe. Another thing quickly to mention here is the pedestrian needs assessment, which is kicking off in the next month or so. So looking for input on that as well. So getting into the data over the last roughly 10 years or so, shows that collisions by severity are disproportionately affecting people walking and people bicycling, and people that are the portion of people that pass away as a result of a collision are more likely to be pedestrians. And this is increasingly a nationwide pattern that has been identified as a public health crisis. And so this is why this is an important thing for countywide for us all to be collaborating on. Another point here in terms of the data is that the communities of concern, so equity is a huge part of Vision Zero. And what we've noticed in the data throughout Contra Costa is that people of color and people of low income are disproportionately more likely to be affected by severe injuries and fatalities. And so it is an equity concern. And to that end, the Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans have stood up and established a new safety program office that will address these issues and more. So in terms of the first steps that went into the pedestrian needs assessment, the Ecopia Tech was the company that Fair and Pierce worked with for artificial intelligence to identify sidewalks and crosswalks using geospatial imagery. And so that we can help build an existing baseline for existing conditions inventory and go from there to help inform what we need to do in terms of next steps. So in terms of the collision patterns, speeding is one of the top collision patterns. Driving under the influence, so-called wrong way, bike riding, in particular in rural areas, transit priority areas, including around BART stations. And so as part of the Vision Zero working group at CCTA, we've been able to incorporate Vision Zero working group members from BART, for example, to address this, and East Bay Regional Parks. Thank you, Sean and his colleagues, because as you see on the top right here, trail crossings are an issue of concern as it relates to collisions. Seniors and youth, both of which have vacancies on the CBPAC, and we'll be working to announce that in the coming months, so that a representative can sit on CBPAC to represent seniors and people with disabilities, and separately someone can represent issues familiar with youth. So skewed intersections is another one to mention. Channelized right turns, slip lanes is another term used for that one, and red light running, for example. So other potential patterns that we've heard from people that might not necessarily be reflected in the data is distracted driving, for example, school drop-off areas, an area of concern, private driveways, lighting or the lack thereof, sight distance concerns, going back to the previous slide, for example, when it comes to skewed intersections, that's can be an issue, and pedestrian facility gaps. So the how-to guide is based on the 10 core elements from Vision Zero that's used around the world in major jurisdictions all over the globe. And as I mentioned, equity is a big piece of that. And this how-to guide, we'll send you and make sure that you have the link to be able to provide written input on the how-to guide as well. So in terms of the structure, in terms of helping out jurisdictions in developing a Vision Zero action plan, which is a more specific level than the countywide framework. The idea is to help develop leadership and commitment from elected officials and staff. And so the first portion of the how-to guide addresses that and how to take a data-informed approach based on the last 10 years of data that we've built and the MTC tool that is being built over the next year or two. The fourth, as you see here, is how to encourage safer speeds and creating safer routes. So within that, how to develop a Vision Zero leadership and commitment is example Vision Zero policies, for example, stakeholder education approaches, and hopefully increasing interagency and interdepartmental collaboration. So for example, planning departments working with public works and vice versa. Authentic engagement in the age of COVID-19, this is particularly important, is addressing unique ways and effective ways of reaching out to different communities, in particular people of color and people of low income, and making sure that input is received from all different perspectives when helping to identify issue areas. And so as it relates to strategic planning, this is a Vision Zero action plan example from Montgomery County, Maryland. But as it relates to California and Contra Costa, local road safety plans are something that are getting funded through the state, and I think originate with federal funding. And the local road safety plan can double as a Vision Zero action plan. And so Walnut Creek, for example, Public Works Department is kicking off a local road safety plan. And if the elected officials support it, that can serve as a Vision Zero action plan as well. And there are some other local jurisdictions that are looking at these opportunities as well. In terms of equity, I mentioned that people who are Black are twice as likely to be killed while walking. This is a national statistic. And people killed while walking are twice as likely to be low income. So just again, reiterating the importance of addressing equity as it relates to safety and identifying projects and the like. So responsive planning is another chapter in the how-to guide. And as you can see here, there's 86% of people who are killed or severely injured are on only 3% of the roadways. And so that's a pretty telling data that we have found through this process and will help inform where to focus investments moving forward. So just as an example, I'm showing here the Central County safety priority locations for as it relates to collisions that involve people walking and then people bicycling. So proactive systemic planning is important in terms of the underlying collision risk factors, who's affected, where, how, and why collisions are happening, using travel behavior, roadway design, built environment factors to identify key patterns, as you see here on the right, and then matching those countermeasures or safety actions to pair those or match those with these patterns. So for example, the channelized right turn you see here kind of midway, the slip turn, sorry, right slip lane or channelized right turn. One way of addressing that is with a removing it altogether. One way of addressing it is doing a raised crosswalk or a raised intersection. Roundabouts are another countermeasure to consider. And so the recommendation and encouraging from the countywide perspective is that local jurisdictions leverage the data that the countywide we're collecting and analyzing, and also with the help of MTC and others. UC Berkeley Safe Trek, for example, is an organization that has TIMS, which is a tool online available to us and the public that helps pull data and help inform decision making as well. And so annually reporting, the baseline is what kind of this effort is doing with Vision Zero, right at the existing conditions kind of inventory stage, and then moving forward, the idea is that local jurisdictions would be empowered to report annually on their progress toward achieving Vision Zero. So complete streets, MTC, I believe, adopted complete streets as a policy back in 2006 or so, maybe even earlier. And you all are probably familiar with complete streets in terms of addressing multimodal equity. And so the how-to guide includes these different action examples. So one of the appendices is a toolbox for jurisdictions to be able to use. So definitely looking forward to getting input from you all on that as well. Context appropriate speeds is very important because, as you can see in the graphic, if a person bicycling or walking is involved in a collision at 40 miles per hour versus 20 miles per hour, there's a very big difference in terms of likelihood to survive. So the slip lane is something that I mentioned that can be closed or can be addressed in different ways. And so the idea is to collaborate with planners and engineers to address these things and empower them with the tools to inform decisions moving forward. Roundabouts, another example for, I know Walnut Creek, for example, is doing neighborhood streets program and addressing some of the speeding through neighborhoods. So roundabouts are just one way of addressing that. And as it relates to signalized intersections, roundabouts can actually be a cheaper alternative over time in terms of maintenance and operations, not just a safety improvement. So another thing that's coming out of this how-to guide is to help empower local jurisdictions with funding resources available to them. And so that's the overview. And for those of you who represent different jurisdictions, happy to hear everyone's input and how we can continue to build on this progress.
Colin, I had a comment / question.
Please.
Sorry. Thank you,
First
Colin. Is your PowerPoint available online somewhere?
Yes, I'll make sure I share it via email with everyone.
Okay, thanks. Questions?
Yep. I don't know if you can see my hand, Bill. It's Adam Foster. Oh, Oli has his hand up too.
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah. So thanks for the presentation, Colin. That was a lot of information to get through, and I appreciate all the help. My one comment, just as far as this impacting my municipality at least, and I think the La Miranda region,
Right.
I think it's really helpful for us to, as data becomes available, have access to areas that would be prioritized. And also it seems like taking a carrot approach rather than a stick approach of identifying areas where Vision Zero objectives could be recognized and making funding available to address those issues would be beneficial to our area. Thank you.
Thanks.
Other questions?
Yeah, this is Oli. A question for Colin. Has
Yes.
anybody thought about how you're going to obtain data for close calls? It would seem to me that by definition, a close call does not yield any blood on the street. So probably nobody's going to make any complaint to the police or anybody else. So how are we going to obtain that data?
Right. So connected vehicles through the automated driving system grant is one potential opportunity to collect that data. And so if there's a hard braking event, for example, that's recorded and can be recorded in near real time and shared with public works departments, for example, to if there's a significant number of hard braking events in a particular location, then perhaps there's an obstruction in the roadway and the public works person can look on the video surveillance, see if there's an issue, and if there's nothing kind of immediately obvious with that preliminary investigation, perhaps they can do a field visit and figure out if there's something else that's worthy of consideration.
A follow-on to that, is there going to be some way for a bicyclist to provide this kind of data?
Right. So, so are you thinking kind of like a story map, for example?
I hadn't given it a whole lot of thought, but
Sure.
when I complained to the police department that I almost got hit, they laughed their ass off.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah, I hear you. So for example, the town of Danville is working on a bike plan right now. And the outreach process does include a website with a map, an interactive map that allows people to provide input in that interactive way, kind of geo-located locations of where they feel kind of anecdotally and based on their experience where there are issues. And then, that can help inform planners and engineers to, look into that more deeply, because to your point, not all of the data, is fully represented in the SWITR's data, for example, when it comes to statewide collisions. And so one of the options is that CCTA and local jurisdictions and MTC can collaborate with the public health department, for example, to help fill those gaps in terms of unreported or underreported collision patterns.
Other questions?
I see Dave.
Yeah, Colin, this is Dave Campbell with Bike East Bay. There's other cities in the US that have had Vision Zero for a while now.
Right.
Are you looking into, or will you look into, like what they've learned over the years, and particularly on, I read the headlines that say things like City X not reaching its Vision Zero goal. So like, what are they learning as they go through this, how to pivot or how to adjust or how to double down or how to throw up their hands and just be frustrated in order to meet their goals?
Yeah, so I do think that from what I'm seeing from other jurisdictions, the Vision Zero effort is an iterative, ongoing process. And so it's important to have this, overarching goal of zero, but getting there can be certainly more complex. And so we will be continuing to look at other jurisdictions' documentation to figure out what's working and what's not working, and how it may apply throughout Contra Costa and in different urban versus rural circumstances, for example. But the main point of the how-to guide is to empower local jurisdictions to do that as well.
Other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Sean. Can you hear me?
Yes.
For some reason, I can't raise my hand in the participants list, but
I have the same problem.
Oh yeah, I think I'm a co-host, which is an honor. But a couple questions. With these types of plans, Colin, with the Vision Zero and things, and I apologize, I haven't had a lot of time to get involved. But when these intersections and problem spots are being identified through this process, and the local jurisdiction, I won't say neglects to do anything about it, but just can't get to it in time or whatnot. Does this somehow raise, does this identifying this in the plans and things as a problem intersection raise the liability of and the importance of the local jurisdiction to do something about it? And then a second separate question is there any additional funding available to jurisdictions and other entities out there as a result of these? Because the data is nice, but then the actual funding and things to do the work is the crucial piece of that puzzle. Thanks.
Sure, thank you. So I think in terms of the funding piece, that is one of CCTA's potential roles in the Vision Zero effort, is to help identify funding for local jurisdictions, in particular as it relates to Measure J sales tax revenue opportunities for the TLC and the PBTF program. So Transportation Livable Communities program and the Bike Ped Trail Facilities program as potential opportunities. I think moving forward, policies are something that you all can consider at the different jurisdictional levels as to whether or not it makes sense for funding to be prioritized for safety, for example. I think you're seeing more of a pattern of safety coming to the forefront in terms of prioritization and needing to be addressed because, for example, under CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act for land use development projects and streetscape projects of a certain scale, safety under Caltrans, for example, is something that is continuing to be folded into all of this, and will continue to see funding affected by it. So the grant applications, for example, local road safety plans, I think is HSIP. And so if people don't have a local road safety plan, if jurisdictions don't have one in place, then they may not be eligible for certain funding. So that's kind of something to consider. And Sean, sorry, what was the first thing that you had mentioned so I can respond to that?
Yeah, sorry to unload. Yeah,
Okay.
it was the identification of these problem spots. Does that increase the liability of the local jurisdictions to do something about it, and increase their exposure in case something does happen in the meantime before they're able to make safety improvements, et cetera?
The short answer is I don't know, and we'd have to check with legal counsel to see. I do know from talking with prior, different jurisdictions that in some cases that has been true in terms of the legal aspect being a potential motivator, but in terms of the liability itself increasing, I don't know if that's true, but that's certainly something we could look into, and if that's useful for local jurisdictions, something we can follow up on.
Other questions? Any questions from any member of the public that has snuck in or come in? I have one quick observation and a question. Observation is that I see contraflow bicyclists all the time in the city. I know it's a rural thing. We want to see traffic coming and so on. I think people have that mindset in the city, but as we all know, it's a very dangerous thing. My main question is, have you done any real outreach to people of color? It's a problem for this committee too. We're all white men, and it's really skewed in that way. It's not that people are so prejudiced, it's just we don't have that concept with the communities of color. So have you made any presentations or connected in any way with communities of color?
Sure. So the CCTA Countywide Vision Zero framework is developing the framework under which the local jurisdictions would do the outreach in that way. So it's something that it is included in the how-to guide in terms of how to reach out to different communities and do it in an authentic way, including with in an interpreter, for example, in real time, or translation if it's written materials, and kind of meeting people where they are. And so there's certainly more detail in the how-to guide to address that.
Anything else? Thank you very much for your presentation, Colin. And I don't know if we're paying you enough, but you get to do the next presentation, next item, which is an update on MTC's active transportation working group.
Should we do you want to do the Caltrans District 4 item C?
Yes.
So just real quickly, I wanted to provide an update, just that this bicycle highway planning study has kicked off. with Caltrans District 4 as the lead. And there's quite a few local jurisdictions throughout the region that are part of the working group or the technical advisory committee. And some of the initial discussion was based on, well, in particular, to clarify that the bike highways will in fact be, focused on Caltrans facilities because Caltrans is the lead, but because so many other jurisdictions are involved, I think it's important that there's a regional perspective as it relates to making sure that there's connectivity with existing facilities. So for example, with the existing Iron Horse Trail, Contra Costa Canal Trail, and others, making sure that's kind of a part of this consideration. Another discussion point was about what do people want these facilities to look like? Should people hear the term highway and tend to think concrete and cold and uninviting in some cases. And so some of the comments that were made were making sure that whatever this highway looks like, it includes landscaping and other considerations, hopefully noise reduction if it's adjacent or above or near vehicular facilities. There was also discussion as to whether or not it makes sense moving forward to whether or not pedestrians would be allowed on a bike highway. And it does sound like it's probably going the route of being a bicycle only, or kind of an electric bicycle type speed, middle modalism type audience for this facility. But one of the concerns, I suppose, that I heard from Caltrans was ADA compliance, if pedestrians are included. And I just did share the recommendation that even if pedestrians are not allowed on this facility, I think it's important that ADA requirements, or at least the intent of them, is considered, in the sense that electric motor wheelchairs, for example, would be able to use a facility like this one if the speed is similar to human-powered and electric-powered bicycles. But definitely open to more input from you all as we continue through this planning study process.
Comments?
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you. Comments from group? Questions? No?
Yeah,
We have one
Bill.
question.
Yeah,
from
one
Oli.
question from Oli. It would seem to me that we should connect the various regions of the county as part of this project. Currently, East County and Central County has Highway 4 going through it, but Highway 4 has bicycles permitted on it between Willow Pass Road and Port Chicago Highway. It would seem to me that as part of this project, making a superhighway for bicycles, we should start by making a highway for bicycles, which gets the bicycles off that 8-lane freeway.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you for buzzing us through the agenda here. I couldn't convince the county to bring us the sandwiches by DoorDash or anything like continue on. The next item, our next item is other business. Is there any other business or information that the committees or staff want to share?
Real quick, Vice Chair Pinkham, we skipped item D, the update on MTC's active transportation working group. No worries, that's going to be presented by Colin.
Yes, I did. And that's
Pulling that up now.
who is doing that?
Colin will be presenting a quick update on that.
As well.
So yeah, so this is just a quick update just to show you the MTC Active Transportation Plan Working Group. So I did attend this over the last quarter or so, and the main item that I wanted to call attention to was that the Regional Active Transportation Plan is kicking off in the coming months, and so that's another thing to consider. As it relates to, for example, the Caltrans bike highway planning study, is this regional active transportation plan. But what I am hearing from MTC is that this regional active transportation plan is going to be incorporating and integrating the local and countywide plans that have already happened to date. So just want to make that clear. And the agenda's here for you to take a look at, and if there's any materials that you're interested in, I'm happy to have you send me an email and I can share materials with you. For example, safe routes to school during COVID. There's some kind of lessons learned and good information there. So that's it for this item, but happy to take questions and comments.
A question, Colin?
Yes.
One thing last time I spoke with MTC, I was encouraged about was their ability to model bike ped trips as part of their regional planning efforts, particularly how to get more people to walk and bike to transit for modeling and mode shift purposes. Do you know, is that modeling of bike ped trips part of this active transportation plan work?
I don't know, but I should hope so, right? And I'll be touching base with Kara at MTC, so I can certainly find out.
Yeah, please update us if you can.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, and I guess while we're on the topic, when you say modeling, I think you're talking about like projections, right? Estimates, right?
Like mode shift or mode share.
That's right. That's right. But I have been looking into both MTC's count database that they've been working on, in addition to the state level bicycle and pedestrian count database that's being developed based on a model from SCAG, the Southern California Association of Governments. So, more to come there, but it is on my radar.
Anyone else? Okay, now we will. Thank you, Jackie, for catching me there. Now we will go to other business. Any other business or information that committee members, staff want to share with us? I have one small thing which I may have mentioned in May, but I don't remember. There's a group called Voices for Public Transit that's been meeting for the last year and a half, and hook up with them if you just look on the website voicesforpublictransit.org. And they're trying to work out a regional plan for public transit, and that of course brings up an important point right now about how we fund BART and AC Transit, Caltrain, all those that are really hurting. Those of us who use it or did use it a lot of course, a very concerned I am. I was on BART all the time. It's something, I'm not saying the committee should necessarily weigh in on right now, but I think it's something that we need to be thinking about and possibly weighing in the near future as these ideas get kicked around by the voices and other public agencies and so on in terms of funding, and see whatever input we could give in that area. So I'd like to see that. Other people. Okay. Upcoming discussions, subject for discussion. Are there topics that people want to see in our next, considered in our next meeting?
Yeah, this is Ole.
Ole?
My comment as a member of the public earlier today about which plan takes precedent, the City of Concord or the Countywide Bicycle Plan, I think that has a lot of import when it comes to not strong city plans versus our strong countywide plan. And it's very easy for the city to shrug its shoulders and say, we're not moving the curb, when the countywide plan calls for inclusiveness, mode share, and move the curb. So that's going to be a big something that we as a culture needs to worry about if we're making plans. Which plan is more important?
Thank you, Ole. Other people, other suggestions for discussion?
A quick comment.
Yes, Adam.
Vice Chair Pinkham, I've heard that the city of Lafayette has a potentially very innovative project going on Pleasant Hill Road. I think it involves a separated facility that would go where the large median is currently. And I think it could be helpful for the group as a whole to understand a little bit more about that project, because it could be something quite exemplary that we might want to turn to. So I'm happy, Colin, or whoever is the applicable staff person, to connect you with the appropriate staff in Lafayette. But I think it's something that started very much from the public pushing for an action plan in an area that wasn't safe for children getting to school. There's a high school on Pleasant Hill Road, Ocklawanee's High School. And I think it could end up being a good example of the community working in partnership with local staff and elected officials to do a project that I think is going to set a new tone for the conversation in this area.
Thank you.
Yeah, Adam, thank you for mentioning that. We actually have been meeting with those involved with that project, so thanks for mentioning that.
Other suggestions? Yes.
Hi, this is Sean. I guess I'm curious what projections CCTA is making, or what information we can get on the state of the economy and how it's affecting bicycle pedestrian funding that may become available. And that, so, maybe it's not the next meeting, but as time goes on, I'm curious if we could kind of get an overview of what we're looking at there as a suggestion.
A good point. Other people? Well, I have something a little off the wall. Maybe something to make us feel a little bit better in the midst of this pandemic. There are more and more people biking these days, as you well know, on the streets. I thought at some point, wouldn't it be fun to put together some kind of list or pamphlet or something, or stuff, probably online, of your favorite rides? I don't know, it's kind of not particularly for next time around, but maybe we'll set that up somehow or another. Maybe I'll set it up. But I thought that might be. Anybody think that'd be a good idea? No?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. It seems to me that the bike clubs already do that. And I would not like to see our limited resources that come from taxpayers spent on that. That's just me.
Yeah, I wouldn't have that as something that we necessarily have to do ourselves in the meetings. I was just thinking that, well, that might be kind of a nice thing to compile. We could, we could put it on the site or something like that. But I agree with you. We don't want to preempt the bicycle clubs. But for example, my favorite ride is not in your area. Your favorite ride is probably not in my area. That kind of thing. So, anyway, just a silly thought, I guess. Well, we are now at the end. Unless anybody has any other comments. Colin, I want to thank you very much for all those presentations. And thank you all for coming. Maybe next year we'll have some bodies to go with our heads. Lucky. So the next meeting is January 25th, 2021. My God. So we'll adjourn. There are no other comments until that time. And thank you all.